Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Rescue Talk. This is Amy Major, your host. Of course, you know my co-host, Jordan Start and Cynthia Maroon. As you can tell, we have some wonderful guests on our show today. It is getting into spooky season, so what is better to have on your show but than EVP? And we have two of the best EVP specialists in the New England area. And I couldn't think of anybody else to have on my show at the beginning of spooky season. So we have Mike and Karen today. I know both of them very well. I've known them throughout the years. I've actually worked with Karen on a few cases in the past, and Karen and Mike have both given EVP presentations at my center years ago. So I was really excited to have them back on my show this time around, just so all of you out there that are outside the New England area can see how amazing and wonderful their work is. And we'll talk a little bit about their website and how you can reach them after we're done. But I just wanted to say a little hello to Mike and Karen, and I'd like them to kind of just introduce themselves to the world. How are you guys doing, Mike and Karen?
Yeah, we're doing well. Nice to see you all.
Yeah.
And thanks for having us.
Right.
Yeah, it's great.
I'll just tell you a little bit about my background, and then I'll leave Mike to tell you a little bit about his. We're both paranormal investigators. We've been paranormal investigators specializing in electronic voice phenomena. I want the audience to know what EVP stands for. Which is voices captured on digital recorders such as this one. This is the infamous DR60, which is very rare and hard to find right now. But we've done investigations all around New England, including the United States. Yeah, we've been to the Lizzie Borden House and the Country Tavern, which was once there and now gone. And all the way to Alcatraz, the notorious prison in San Francisco. We stayed overnight. So we've been around, and I've written 2 books, Spooky, Creepy New England and Spooky, Creepy New England 2, which are available on Amazon or wherever you can find them. And they are mostly the cases that we've done in New England. My paranormal adventures have taken me to appearances on the Maury Povich show, on in many newspapers, and the Nashville Telegraph featured an article on me called "Bridge to the Afterlife," and that was all about EVP communication, and specifically a group that we work with on the other side called the Big Circle, which came about through our children, my son Rob, Martha Copeland's daughter Kathy, and Vicki Talbot's son Braden, who are all on the other side and have come together to form this group of communicators called the Big Circle, and we hear from them often. Some of my EVP have been featured on the background scenes of the movie White Noise of 2005, and with Michael Keaton, and also episode of Ghost Whisperer, if any of you remember it, with Jennifer Love Hewitt. So I've been doing EVP since 2001. Mike is the one that introduced me to EVP, so I consider him one of my mentors. And then we both joined a group called the American Association of Electronic Voice Phenomena, where Tom and Lisa Butler were the directors, and they became our mentors because they have been doing EVP even longer than we have. And EVP actually goes back very many years. You can see the reel-to-reel recorder back here. That's the original apparatus that some people use to capture EVP, as well as regular cassette recorders and other media. but uh, we've been doing it for quite some time. We can tell you a little bit about EVP, but I can kind of leave that to Mike to take over right now.
Well, you're a hard act to follow there. You've
Well,
done a lot.
oh, one more
Uh,
thing is that the American Association of Electronic Voice Phenomena, their name is changed to the A-Trans-C now, which really includes all methods of transcommunication, not
Okay.
just EVP, but ITC and other methods of communication with the afterlife. All right,
All
that's
right.
it for me.
Well, I've had an interest in the paranormal since forever. I mean, since I was a kid, and was disappointed to find that I don't have any kind of psychic ability, uh, really nothing. Uh, and I used to read a lot of books. They're in this room, actually, and I want to make sure I'm saying his name right. I hope so. Hans Holzer, back in the 60s and 70s. A lot of his books, reading the stories. Um, but I came upon a book called Voices of the Dead by Susie Smith. And you may have heard of it. And that book talked about using recording devices. And it talked about the oldest devices going back into the 1920s and such. Reel to reel was when you could really start doing things. But obviously, hauling one of these around wasn't easy. But a lot of the research is, we're using those. And then there was cassettes. Uh, and that's what I started with. And I recorded my first EVP back in 1977. In fact, the anniversary is coming up October 9th. And I didn't have any haunted locations to go to, uh, so I went to a cemetery, and I've gone to a lot of cemeteries since then, and so has Karen. And if you think about it, some people will say, "Well, why would people be hanging around cemetery?" But I always looked at it like, when I'm gone, that's all I got is a tombstone. There's not going to be any statue for me. So, you're kind of protected a little, or at least maybe hang around, check it out once in a while. And I received a recording from uh, on the grave of Sally Cook. And this is in Wakefield, New Hampshire, and she died in 1824. And when I just let the recorder play, and when I played it back, she said, help me, my brother," is what she actually said. And she spoke in a sing-songy kind of voice on the other parts of the recording. Uh, well, I was hooked. So that was in '77, and since then, I continued to record uh, and get a lot of different EVP. But at the time, there was internet officially, but nothing that we could access, and so there wasn't too much to do with it. But I, continued to record and basically just kept them on cassettes. But as the internet grew, I got a chance to work with it. And as far as Karen, well, uh, I did introduce Karen to it. I told her about it, and she started recording on her own. I gave her a cassette player to use, and recorded an amazing EP. Uh, and we've been at it ever since. And of course, now there's digital, and the reel to reel is still fun to use from time to time. And they say it's really, particularly the ones with vacuum tubes, the ones that are really going to be most active as far as EVP, but we get plenty with digital. Uh, so that's what I've been doing. We started doing presentations together, a lot of investigations, and put the website together with a lot of our work, a lot of our EVPs. Karen's books, by the way, are on the main page. If you scroll down from the top, there's a link to Amazon if you're interested in her books. So that's pretty much it. And I kind of put this room together uh, slowly but surely. And I can tell you that originally I didn't want to. I thought, okay, it's great recording EVP and everything, but never do it at home. But then I got over that, and I do it at home. And there could be someday something not good come through, but it's always been wonderful. Uh, we've had instances where things move in this room. From what you can see back there, some of those vacuum tubes, uh, everything is in a perfect place, basically. This is how I like it. So I know when something's moved. I walk in the door and they've actually made it move so that I can't help but see it. So I don't have any psychic ability. I seem to have picked up uh, friends, I guess you could say, friends, family, uh, and through all the recording.
I think we all have a little psychic ability, even though Mike says he doesn't. I think we all have a little bit of psychic ability.
No,
I,
not,
I,
not,
one
like,
thing,
not like you folks.
well, one thing I wanted to say about EVP is that there's very the categories of EVP are very broad. You can record and get an interactive EVP, and that means that you can ask a question and the spirit will respond directly to that question. That's what we call an interactive EVP. So that's like in real time. But you can be at a historic or haunted place and you can get residual energy. If you think about it, everything you say, everything that's been said is energy. It's all out there. And you can tap onto a portal or a vortex where residual energy comes through, and you can record things from the past that are completely non interactive. They're not aware of you, they're not aware of your presence. It's just something that happened in history that's playing out. It's playing out again. And I believe that multiple dimensions exist. So this is all going on. And you may just happen to put your recorder on and tap into a dimension from the past. But yet you can also tap into something that is right there, interactive and in real time. We have several examples of that on our website, which is, I can mention it now, I know Amy will too, ectoweb.com. So www.ectoweb.com, all one word, ectoweb. So there's also categories of EVP, which the American Association of Electronic Voice Phenomena, I think Sarah Estep, we call them Class A, Class B, Class C. Class A is something that almost everyone can hear without any influence, without any, coaxing or us telling you what we hear. It's so clear. It comes through really clear. And they need a lot of energy to do this because they don't have vocal cords or any physical apparatus anymore. So what they do is manipulate the electronics or the noise, the white noise in the equipment that you're using to create a message. And those are the ones we really want to focus on because sometimes they come through and they're not as clear. We call them Class B and Class C, which aren't clear at all. But if you influence somebody to hear what you hear, then they're going to hear it too because that's how the subconscious mind works. So when we do EVP, we really try to be very discriminatory. All right. If you can hear it really clear, that's something we really want to share. And another thing that we do is we always use 2 recorders because they can only manipulate one source at a time. Spirit can only do that one source at a time. Even when you see a ghost or even when you see a spirit, you're really going to see it one place and they can move over here, but you're not going to see it here and here at the same place, in my opinion. So that's why we use 2 recorders because we want to prove without a doubt that it's electronic voice phenomena, that this is actually a communication from a spirit. So when we do a recording, we play it back, it's only on one recorder. That's a proof positive that that's an EVP because they manipulated one recorder, but they didn't on the other recorder. So that's, you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, because there's going to be times when there could be a background sound that you don't really hear. You're caught up in what you're doing and you're recording. And that background sound is not EVP. So when you play back both recordings, uh, we call the other recorder the control recorder. And that can get EVP too. But in the meantime, with, let's say, recorder one clearly has something that wasn't there, or you think wasn't there. When you go to recorder two, if it's there, well, then you know, okay, that was some sort of background noise.
Us talking,
Yeah, it could be anything.
whispering. That's something you don't want
That's
to
another
do.
thing. Never whisper.
Yeah.
And we will do group things and investigations with people, and somebody will whisper, and we'll very politely say, okay, you gotta no whispering because it comes through and we can't tell for sure, except for the dual recorders. So let the spirits do the whispering because they do a lot of whispering. But that's an excellent point. Yeah. So that second recorder, or and sometimes three, I'll use three recorders at once. And because if I'm going to have a playback session afterwards, uh, I'm going to enjoy the afternoon doing it, let's say, then I've got three recorders I can listen to. And so I can rule out that one of them is not an EVP, let's say, because it's on all three recorders. But you only need two to do this. So it's not the recorders, but you may get three different EVPs in that same time frame. Three different spirits actually talking within the three recorders.
Right.
So yeah, that's an important thing. Uh, One thing we want to mention is the recorders themselves. I mean, we were buying these DR60s back when they were like $15 on eBay, and then unfortunately, some of the folks on eBay started to realize how valuable they were. In fact, that was in the early 2003, 2004, that time period. And that's when White Noise came out, the movie, which, kind of distorted things a little, but got a whole lot of people talking. And the next thing you know, these recorders were going for $1,000.
They're even more.
$2,000, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's other recorders out there. Any recorder is capable of getting EVP.
But you have to elaborate on that. Not every recorder is capable of getting EVP
On its own.
Right. The noise, the more background noise a recorder has, the more conducive it is for EVP. Only because spirit has more to work with. They have more noise. They have more white noise. If you have your cell phone and you turn your cell phone on and you want to record EVP, chances of you getting an EVP are pretty rare because they're so clear. A cell phone recorder is so clear and there's no background noise. If you want to enhance that and try using your cell phone or a very good digital recorder that is very clean and crisp, turn on a fan or provide some background noise or provide some low white noise or pink noise in the background. Static, anything you want to provide that provides static helps them incredibly because they need that noise to form messages. They need that. They can't just speak with a vocal apparatus because they don't have it. I can play you one off this recorder and you can hear, hopefully you'll hear how noisy this recorder is. But there's a clear EVP after I speak. So I don't know where it would be clearest to play it.
Well, the mic is right there on the camcorder.
Right here?
On the webcam, I mean, yep.
Okay. Hopefully you can hear it.
Mom, are you fishing today?
So you can hear all the noise in that, if you could hear it. But there's a lot of static in this digital recorder, and that helps them record. That helps them form an EVP. The old recorders, like the original recorder that I used to record, which I consider one of the most intriguing and phenomenal EVP ever captured, was captured in Hills Farm Cemetery in Hudson, New Hampshire. and I just used a regular cassette recorder, which Mike gave me. I put a fresh tape in, and that's very important. You don't want any bleed through from something that was recorded on it before. So you put a fresh cassette tape in, and I attached an external microphone, which again helped provide more for them to work with. And I laid it on one of the tombs or the gravestones of the Marsh family, and it was non-stop EVP, like a portal opened, and there was wind and crashing and slamming as if they were taking my recorder and just slamming it up and down. And it was 84 degrees that day in April and no wind at all. So that vortex sat right above that recorder or that microphone, and all the voices jumped in.
That's an amazing EVP.
Yeah, it's on the website. It was like voices came in that said, you know, not so nice words, you, profanity, witch, she's dirty, Grand Central. It was, everyone was talking at the same time, and the whole EVP was like over a minute long. And then at the end, it just closed with a static, huge discharge of energy, like something clapped or like something slammed shut. And the recorder continued to run for another 10 minutes or so with absolutely nothing.
Total silence. Now here's something here for people that haven't ever done EVP and want to do EVP and want to try it out. Jumping in here on your recording. So Karen was really new at the time, and not that I'm.
It was frightening.
Right. Yeah, she, not that, I mean, I've been doing EVP for a while, but my first one was really scary, exciting and scary. You know, like, wow, what have I done? You know, what have I contacted? Well, that's what was happening when she called me. You know, in her voice, so excited about what she just captured, and scared at the same time. And so if you're doing EVP for the first time, now that was years ago, and now I think with all these shows that have come on, all these paranormal shows, maybe somebody doing it for the first time may not have that same effect. But it's just something. Your first EVP is always an amazing thing. And if you've never done it before. And when I said that any recorder can do that, as Karen said, yeah, sometimes you're going to need to add some noise to it. But if you're someone that just has a regular digital recorder and you go into a cemetery, if they want to come through, they'll come through. And anything you get that you can rule out the wind or anything else is going to be pretty exciting because something is on that recording when nobody was there. You could take your recorder and put it down in the basement, for instance. I need a cassette recorder. Put it down in the basement, hit record and walk away, let the whole thing record, play it back afterwards, and you may hear some things. And if you're in an isolated house type of thing, there's no other people home, or what you hear is usually going to be EVP, especially if you get a voice. If you don't get a voice, then yeah, maybe the heater kicked off or something.
I think it's important to, I know one of you's a demonologist, and it's important to understand that we are dealing with all sorts of entities out there. It's important to protect yourself. It's really important to ground yourself. It's important to realize that when we pass away, our physical bodies pass away, but our consciousness survives physical death. This is my belief. And so who you are here is not going to change immediately once you get to the other side. Once you get to the other side, they're still learning, there's still development. And sometimes you need people like Amy to help you move through those channels to get to the higher levels. But the reason you have to be, yeah, you can get spirit that comes in and just says, you know, F you, turn it off, shut it off. Very negative EVP. And then you can get the EVP that come through and say, I love you, or hello, Karen, or, thank you, good night. So you're dealing with very real consciousness. They're not they haven't changed from who they were when they were physically here. So you kind of have to accept that when you decide you want to go into something like ghost hunting or electronic voice phenomena, that you might not necessarily be dealing with someone that is just nice.
But at the time, we just laugh it off. When we get a negative one like that, it becomes funny because you realize that they're not really there to do anything. They can't do anything. It's just somebody coming through.
Well, we deal with it here in the physical. You can be just driving along the road, doing the speed limit and everything else, and somebody comes right on your tail that has to get by and rushes by you and flips you off. So it's no different. You're dealing with these people here too. And so you've got to accept that you're going to be dealing with them there as well.
That's a good point.
Yeah, probably questions for us, but I did want to mention something about recorders because for somebody that doesn't have one, and if you go to eBay in particular, they're looking for $2,000 for a DR60, and you don't have to get a DR60. The DR60 is great, and sometimes you get things, sometimes you don't, but yeah, more likely than not, you're going to get something. But let me show you a couple of other recorders here. So our understanding is the DR60 itself, get this in a good spot. The DR60 itself from Panasonic, is the very first digital recorder. And that's my understanding, okay? So it's actually called the it's the Panasonic RRDR60. And it's very noisy, limited in what it can do with its time and such. But it was great for its time when it first came out in the late 90s. So the next one that the Panasonic came out with, this is called the R80. You don't have to remember this, but if somebody went on eBay, you'd find out real quick because this is it. Looks similar. And there is this is a QR80, RRQR, I'm sorry, QR80 is the important part, QR. There's a QR80, a 240, a 100, a 200, a 400. The only difference is the length of time. And what's happened is these are very clear recorders. It's amazing how clear they are. And this is what we use. I use, at least, and Karen too, for a control recorder. And it's great at picking up EVP once in a while, and especially whispers. But so you can get an EVP on it, but it's also great as a control recorder. And my point here is that on eBay, if you look up DR60, you look at and you see the price, you're going to find people selling these. And it's not even the DR60. It says DR60, and then when you look at it, it's actually a QR80. And they want a lot of money for it. And it's not the DR60. And you'll find that. And sometimes they'll be honest enough to actually say QR80, whatever it is, without advertising it as a DR60 first. And sometimes they'll advertise it as a companion to the DR60, which is what it is, really can be. But on its own, these recorders are very, very clear, and they have extra time and different features, but just watch out for them on eBay.
Well, I guess people should come to you first before they buy anything. Get your opinion.
You'll see it on there. I mean, they're out there and they're very high priced, and they're not the DR60.
Sony some good ones too.
Well, I was just reaching for that.
Oh, see, I read your mind.
Yeah. Right here is a Sony B7. Okay, and you'll see them on eBay. They're usually not that expensive. And there's also a B17, which has more time and voice activation that you can turn on or off. And for the most part, Well, I looked today just for the heck of it. I haven't looked in a while. These are selling. Most of these are selling. They don't even mention it being used for EVP because it's not known.
But
And
they
the thing
capture
is,
good EVP because especially the B7 is very noisy.
yeah,
I've captured very good EVP on it, but it is not voice activated, so it continues to run
well,
different
no,
from
no,
the
there's
DRC.
two different ones.
Right, the
Right.
17 is voice
Yeah, yeah,
activated,
right.
but not the 7.
But the thing about it is, I mean, Sony ought to be ashamed of themselves because way back when, am I going to get in trouble legally?
No,
Way back when Panasonic in the early 2000s could come out with these QRs that are so almost silent. This one is noisy as hell, which makes it great for EVP. I don't know what's even on this one, but if I hit play, let's see if I turn it on. There's an awful lot of noise in there.
right.
And that's what I'm talking about. That kind of background noise is very helpful for them to manipulate to come through. So if somebody is wanted to do this for the first time, went to eBay, found this for $25, $30, maybe. Maybe there's ones that are really overpriced, but these have been around a while. And I'm just finding when I look every once in a while that they're not being sold and advertised as EVP. They're just
Right.
being sold as recorders. So there's a chance to get a good recorder that will be very good for EVP at a decent price.
Just a quick question about that, because I'm thinking frugal. You're knowing how expensive those EVP players are, the recorders are. Could somebody get the same result having their cell phone and having a white noise machine right next to the cell phone? Or does the white noise need to be in the recorder itself for it to be used effectively?
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
No,
It doesn't.
that'll work. That provides them with something. It provides them some type of background noise that they can work with. As long as it's a fan or you've got static, low static turned onto your radio or something like that, that helps them. They need that. They need that energy.
I'm just saying it's a cheap way of doing it if you can't afford hundreds of dollars for a recorder. You know, white noise machine's $30. So
Yeah,
You're also getting a
Absolutely.
quality recorder, which you can use as a control.
absolutely. Try it. Try it. I encourage you to try any method that you think might work for you. Just give it a little background noise because they need it. And hey, you know, you have a lot of energy anyway. I'm sure all of you do. But you know, put yourself in a good frame of mind. Charge up your energy, and it might even help you to just turn on a radio and tune it into static for 5 minutes before you go into the room. Charge up that energy in the room, and then go in. Turn the radio down a little bit, but you can hear it in the background, and turn on your recorder and see what happens.
But it's important if you're going to use a radio that you are listening to what that radio is putting out. Because particularly if you're using AM or shortwave, but particularly AM, which is easy to put on, you could have another station bleed through and a word or two might pop in that is not EVP.
Right.
But you'll know when you get an EVP that says something specific in the middle of a bright noise coming off a station that isn't on, not on a station,
Right.
you'll know it's an EVP.
Right.
So
I know my co-hosts have tons of questions, but I just had one more. Not sure if you guys have used this before, but years ago, I had a friend of mine play an EVP recording, but they'd used a Faraday cage around the recorder, and it played every echo, and they were down in Gettysburg. It played everything. You heard cannon fire. You heard screaming. It was so clear as if you were right there. Can you guys recommend anything? Have you guys used a Faraday cage before, or anything that would enhance the sound?
I've heard of it, I've read about it, but I haven't done anything like that.
It was amazing.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't done anything like that. It's
It's
usually just
amplifier. of everything. And it was probably the clearest I've ever heard, right from the recorder itself without any other software around it, so it was probably one of the craziest EVPs I've ever heard in my life, because it was almost like you were standing right there in the battlefield.
Yeah, well, to get like that, yeah.
Yeah, amazing with that. But I know my co-hosts probably have tons of questions. I've worked with you guys for years in the past, but I know Cynthia and Jordan haven't really had a chance to ask any questions. Cynthia, Jordan, do you guys have any questions for our guests? Cynthia?
Yeah, I absolutely do. So I was sitting here actually, Mike, I know that you said you're not psychic, but the truth is I've been sitting here on like 3 solid questions, and one by one, you answered them all. So I think you got more intuition than you give yourself credit for.
Right.
But you talked a little bit about, grounding yourself, protecting yourself. I'm curious, you mentioned about things moving. I'm curious to know, what you would say to somebody who might be into this stuff but is concerned that things are going to follow them home. What kind of stuff would you say to them in terms of protection or your own experiences if you've been in that situation and you felt something might have followed you home and you weren't comfortable with that? What could you offer the people watching?
Okay, Karen,
I think essentially I'm kind of a strong personality, and I used to go into investigations that were in pretty dark places. And one of the people that I went in with, he would say to me, Karen, I wish you weren't here sometimes because you've got so much protection around you, that I think they're afraid to come through. And, they're not afraid to come through. They're there, but it's important to know that you're in control, that, perhaps people with, issues or anything like that shouldn't do paranormal things. You really do have to be grounded, and you do have to be confident in yourself and know that you are in control. It is you that is in the physical, and you have the power to protect yourself. I do sage myself. Yeah, I do. I do wear a cross. Yes, I do. But I do always go in there knowing that, I invite any spirit guides that I have or any loved ones that I have to come along with me. So I put a protection around myself because I know what's out there. And there are very negative entities out there. So, I hope that helps, but I encourage anyone that decides to take on pursuits like this in any paranormal venue you decide to go in, whether it be, as a medium, as a EVP specialist, or infrared photographer, whatever you do need protection around you. You don't always know what you're dealing with out there.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point. That's one of the things we mentioned when we do an EVP presentation, because if somebody's curious, you still have to go through. You got to be curious and want to have something happen. If you go in paranoid, that's not a good thing, because you can start imagining things. You get that first EVP, and sometimes it could be negative, and you got to have the right personality.
Well, you just set up your vulnerability, and they know it. They know that you're vulnerable. Trust me, and they'll take advantage of that.
Yeah, you can. But again, when we listen to EVP or get EVP, it seems to be different people all the time, unless getting a family member. But we've never. Well, I'm gonna say me. Okay, I've never reached a situation where I can come down and have a conversation. Come down here and my mom's going to come through, and then 3 weeks later she comes through again. It isn't like that.
I remember.
It isn't like that for me.
I remember one time, again at Hills Farm Cemetery. I encourage if any of you get a chance to get out there, and and do an investigation. That cemetery is so active. That cemetery has a portal or so. It's got something in there. But I every time I go in there, they know it's me, or because Mike and I have been together so many times, they sense Mike's energy around me too. I've turned my recorder on and they've said, you know, damn it, it's Sullivan. And he's not even there.
Yeah, it's
He's
pretty
not
amazing.
even there with me. And I always, sometimes I bring a Bible with me too, and I empower that. You know, whether it's a powerful tool or not, I've empowered it, and it's protection for me. And one time I walked in there and I turned on my recorder and was recording, and I played it back, and one of the spirits went, "She has a Bible." And another came in and said, "Shut up." And that's just how they can be. And we have several examples that, if you'd like to hear, we can play for you.
Yeah, we can play some.
Yeah.
I was going to say, whereas Karen, they mentioned my name, because Karen and I have been doing this this is years ago too, but we've been doing it for a long time together and apart. And well, that actually happened in the Hills. I wasn't there, and as soon as she put we was in the same recorders, the DR60s, she put the recorder on and had somebody say, "Damn it, it's Sullivan." In my room here, at the time, I was doing weekly sessions, and Karen was at work, and afterwards I would call her up and tell her, you know, what went on, and I did a recording where somebody just said Karen Mossey, and again, Karen wasn't here, so we do have that recording. We could play that, but it's clear as day somebody spoke her name when she wasn't even here.
We've had them call our names several times.
Yeah,
and
but on our
different
own. She'll get it
occurrences.
when she's by herself. I'll get mine when I'm by myself. But
And call other people's names and
Yeah.
say other people's names. And
Yep, they've said my name too. I can't even begin to tell you how freaky it is to have them say your name on the recording. I feel like they
Yep.
know me. How do they know me? It's weird. It really is.
And you know what, Mike and Karen, like it just shows what Karen was saying earlier about they can read your energy. So even though you guys aren't with each other, they know about each other, like you two and your connection. And that's why it's so important to go in with the sense of empowerment and knowing that you're in control for your own protection, right?
Right.
I
I have a fun little story about that, because exactly the same thing happened to Mike and Karen happened with me when I went to a haunted location. And through an EVP, it came through, "Where's Amy Major?"
Oh no.
And I was like, "You can't make this up. That was amazing. She was nowhere."
another thing they can do
It was
is
great.
they can actually take your words and change the message. That's why 2 recorders is really important. So, you know, on this recorder, when you play it back, you know, you said, you know, "Hello, everyone. This is Karen." On the other recorder, you know, you hear yourself say, "Hello, everyone," and you hear, "Hello, Karen," and you know you didn't say that. Because your other recorder clearly shows you what you said.
Yeah, and that's
But they took your words and changed it around so they could give a message to you. And that
That's so cool.
your speech is energy, and that's they need any type of energy that's available to come through and communicate with you.
and sometimes you know, it's like they know what you're going to be saying, because
Yeah.
you put the recorder on before you even have a chance to speak. They've answered your question. You know, they'll say something that relates to what you were about to say.
That's because the question's in your energy, and they're reading your energy before you actually verbalize what you want to say. So they'll answer it before you actually ask it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's almost like telepathy. They know what you're going to say.
It is telepathy in a way,
You
for
know,
sure.
Before we play those EVPs, one other thing for anyone that's new that would like to do this, try this, you got to stick with it. They come to know you. You know, even if they never call your name or say your name, I mean, they definitely come to know you. They know you're recording and you're trying to reach the other side. And they do that, they know that because you continue to do it. So
Right.
as opposed to somebody that's using these things for what they're really made for, a business meeting or, you know, you hit the button and say, I'll get in today's world now with the phones, you got that. But I mean, basically, yeah, you can tell Alexa, but basically, remember to get a loaf of bread, you know, whatever. If that's all you're doing, you still might get an EVP. But if you're really trying this, give it some time, you know, try recording maybe at the same time, once a week, every day, and play it back and see if you get anything.
Oh,
But
I can
if you do that, they get
Yeah.
to know you.
I can tell you there's been so many times where I've had my recorder and I was anxious and I turned it on a recorder. I turned it on, I played it back, and someone came through and said, having trouble breathing. And sometimes when I get anxiety, I'm like, you know, and they know these things. One time I captured one and said, you're heading for a deep freeze. This was in the winter. And within a couple days, the temperature here in New Hampshire dropped down to like 40 below zero. So they know things as well. It's amazing. I just wish I had more time in my life because there's so much we don't understand about the other side that they are capable of doing. I wish we could, you know, understand more about their abilities. And it's fascinating field of research.
But do you guys find there's people entering the field of EVP, or do you think it's declining because of the use of cell phones? Are there classes that people can take to get involved in this? I mean, how is this going to move going forward into the future?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Amy. And for me personally, I see the younger people too much on their cell phones and drifting away from this. They love paranormal shows. I think, you know, people still love paranormal shows and things. And I think the more they watch, if people are doing electronic voice phenomena on that show, it sparks their curiosity about it. How can I do this? So I wish that more people would be involved in it. I wish more people would be spirit communicators like you all are, and so that we can understand more about life after death and the survival of consciousness. I think it would all put us so more at ease because we're all going that direction. That's inevitable. But if we can know more about, you know, what happens after physical death, we know that there's fear in some form. I think it would give us so much more comfort.
Yep, I agree. Maybe you guys should just teach more classes, hand in hand.
I encourage it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
not to get off subject, but it seems like when we were still working and the kids were growing up and everything, we seem to have more time than we do now that we're retired. And I've heard more people say that. But in our case, it's like, you know, let's
And
do a
I'm not
presentation.
retired yet. I'm retired, but I'm still working.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, we should do more presentations and we should put
Yeah.
investigations out. Yeah, because we still have the same passion.
Right.
And I still record, right? And so does Karen. She'll record on her own. I'll record down here. It's always great when she comes over, and we don't do it that often, but she'll come over and we'll record together here. And you know, I think the folks here appreciate that too. I know they do.
Well, I think that you guys know too. All right, is that once you hear from them, you're hooked. All right, it's like you want to keep hearing from them. You want to keep getting the communication to come through, or you want to keep helping them like you do, Amy. It's a passion, and it's also a curiosity. You want to understand. There's something out there. There's something happens, and you know, it just, you want to keep understanding. just want to pursue this.
You know,
So-
you just mentioned helping. That's a good point. When you first start doing EVP, and even right up to forever, I think, we get EVPs where people say, help me.
A lot of
And yeah, and in the beginning, it was kind of like, oh my God, I've got to help, you know? And then
Wow.
you,
Yeah.
well, you know, you do another recording, you know, tell me more, you know, how can I help? No answer. They just say it. And it doesn't, for us, there's never been anything to do about it other than, you know, now it's like, okay, I got to help them. You know, as we'll throw, there's other EVPs that spirits will say, things spirits will say commonly. But help me and help me, help me, I'm cold. God
Please
help
help
me.
me. God
Please help
help
me.
me.
But on the help means, you know, we're not thinking, oh, great, I got a great EVP. We're thinking, geez, how can I help? And on our end, you can't, you know, and for new people, you may find the same thing, you know.
Well,
They're
some
saying it,
people
they
can.
mean it, I'm sure, but
yeah.
well, yeah, if you're
If you're
spiritual, but,
if you're a psychic medium or a spirit rescuer,
Right.
you know, you can do that. You know how to tap into that.
right. But for anybody, as we mentioned, anyone, I don't think I said this yet, but as part of our presentations, anybody can do EVP. Anyone. You don't have to have any psychic ability because it's out there. I look at it like broadcasting. There's stations out there broadcasting. Turn on your radio and you can hear them. Well, if you use a recorder and you record somewhat on a regular basis, they'll get to know you. They'll talk to you, whatever they have to say. And like I said, sometimes it's interactive. They'll answer you. They'll talk about the environment. You know, it's cold today or something like that. So anybody can do it. That's another point I was trying to make because for me and reading all those books when I was younger and stuff, I thought I'd never be part of this. You know, get to go to an investigation and all that. But I did, and I do. And again, anyone can do EVP. I guess that's what I'm
Whatever
trying
you
to say.
whatever you believe, try it. That's
Right.
all I can say. You
Yeah.
can be a skeptic. You can be a forever doubter. You can be receptive. Whatever you believe, try it. All right, and make your own
Yeah,
decision.
well, that's
about
another
it.
thing because we have people come up to us after a presentation and go, "Well, why don't you do it this way?" You know, they're trying to discredit it and to improve it, to disprove it, and the answer is, we don't have to do anything. We believe it. Okay, if you don't believe it, that's fine. If you really want to discredit it, do it and see what happens.
Right.
Because they're going to get a voice. Or they're going to get a sound. They're going to get something if they do it enough. You know, the biggest disbeliever, that something's going to come through.
Right. They'll believe when they're ready to believe. That's what I always say. You know,
Well, we don't
you don't
people
force.
that come to us that try to discredit and, you know, say, oh, this
Well, I
not
know
real.
a lot of people are going to be watching this going, okay, so I know what this is now, but should we give them a little example of what, you know, EVP really is and how fascinating it is to actually hear voices on a recording? I know you said you brought some examples with you,
Yep, we do.
and I can bring
Okay.
that up for you, and we can have a little fun listening to some voices from beyond.
All right. Now give me just a moment here and I'll get these going. We'll talk about them as we do them.
So obviously, when they're doing the recorders, then they could download what they receive, because sometimes it's not easy to hear on the recorder, but they can use software such as what you have to download it on and hear it easier. Is that why you use this software?
Well, for two reasons. One is to actually be able to distribute it, to put it on the website, to send it to somebody else to listen to, you know, through email and such. And yes, also some of these, you know, they need to be cleaned up a little bit. You can take away the hiss with a good program. But you got to be careful when you do that you don't change what's actually being said.
Right.
So
Right.
you don't want to you don't want to use the effects to the point of actually changing anything.
Yeah.
This one that just happens to be on there. Go ahead, Cameron.
No, you don't want to over edit it because then making a message out of what wasn't the message.
Right.
Some of them come through very fast, EVP, because they have to. They only have so much energy. So most EVP are like seconds long, and then they don't have any more energy to put it through. Or they come through very low in a whisper. So it's good to have software. This particular program is expensive, Cool Edit, but there is a program out there called WavePad, which is free.
Yeah.
All right, and you can put your EVP into that program, WavePad, and you can save it as a WAV file, and you can share it with other people. So
Yeah, and another
Yeah.
reason is because maybe you record a 5-minute EVP and a 5-minute recording, I should say, but it's not, there's only one little phrase, like in this case here, that comes through. So you cut that and that's your EVP, because it's not like you asked, in this case, it's not like I asked a question, this just happened to be said. So
there's a lot of times we hear names, and
yeah, this is one of them.
we're going to play this example for you.
Yeah, so we'll see if it plays loudly enough for you.
Here comes glasses.
So
That was
what we're hearing that is Here Comes Rocky. And that was recorded in the room here, but I wasn't thinking of anyone named Rocky. I wasn't, it just random, somebody said that. I'll play it again.
Here comes glasses.
And that's an example of a Class A that we don't know the audience right now, but I'm assuming most people heard it that way. We have so many others, some of them not as clear. Karen, do you want to do your dad?
Sure.
Okay, so just a moment here. I'm going to amp this one up a little bit just to make it a little louder. I'll stop there and let Karen talk about it.
Okay, yeah. This is when this came through. I recognized it right away as my dad's voice, and they actually used this in the background scenes for the movie White Noise. And he this was his voice, and he had passed away several years before. And what I did is I shared it with Mike and some of my other friends, and I said, this sounds exactly like my father. And Mike, having known my father, and
Yeah, it was amazing to
they're
hear
like,
this.
that's his inflection, totally. That is totally his inflection. So that was a very heartwarming EVP for me to receive.
I'll play that one again.
It's beautiful.
That's such a gift to get that from the other side. Now everyone who wants a loved one's going to run and go grab a recorder. Like, I want to hear them from the other side. Hey.
We have negative ones, though, Amy,
Yeah.
trust me.
So this one I'm going to play actually says my name, and there's a story that goes with it. So it's almost negative. I'll let you hear it first, and then I'll talk about it. See if you hear what we hear. So what we're hearing is Michael is weak, and what happened with that was I had never been on an actual investigation before at the time. And this is years ago, but you know, I'd been to cemeteries and that sort of thing. But I'd been invited on an investigation to do EVP, and this was at the Portsmouth Music Hall, which is noted to be very haunted. It's a beautiful venue there in Portsmouth. If you haven't been, it's really nice and it's old. So when I got there, I brought different recorders, and this particular one I kind of stashed into a closet and let it run. So I didn't have the two recorders going, just one in this case. But when I came back, that's what I heard. But the thing about it was, because it was my first investigation and there was only me and the guy who led the paranormal group because nobody else could make it, I was kind of questioning myself, you know. I said, well, I've read all these books, and I've always wanted to do this, but what if something happens? I go running out of the building, something like that. What if I freak? And I think they picked up on that.
They
You know?
sensed it.
They sensed it, and,
Yeah.
and this
Mhm.
walked in and put the recorder there. So I'm kind of proud of the recording. It's very clear, Michael, and but obviously a little embarrassed about what it says. So, but I think it's funny enough to
Remember, they're still opinionated on the other side. So
Yeah, well, I might have been weak that day, but I did not run out of the building. So, Karen, what would you like to play?
I don't care. Just we picked some really clear ones for you.
Well, this one right here. I'm going to amp it just a little, make it a little louder.
While Mike's doing that, I just wanted to say in that last EVP, what's interesting to me is it seemed to have an accent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so did Here Comes Rocky. I've been getting those, and I don't know why, but at the time
They seem to have like almost a British accent. I don't know why either.
yeah, it's kind of strange. It's some of the clearest EVPs too.
Yeah.
Well, we'll let this play, and here we go. You want to explain that, Karen?
Sure. That's the one where I referred to how they changed my words, where they said, hello, Karen, at the end. I had actually said, this is Karen. And again, it sounds to me like an accent. You hear, hello, Karen.
So let me play that again.
Play that part.
Yeah. Okay. I'll play the whole thing, then I'll play that part. So
I said, hello, everyone. And they go, hello,
yeah,
Karen.
the EVP is actually louder than Karen's actual voice here, if you listen. And then this is the response, which is Karen said was actually her words that they changed in order to come through.
Very cool.
That's amazing.
It's amazing what they can do.
oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, in your experience, do you find spirits respond better to certain types of questions or tone of voice or mindset that you guys are going in, just for folks who might be curious and doing some of this on their own?
They do come to know you. So sometimes, yes, they are very interactive and they can work with you, but other times what comes through makes no sense to what you were thinking or doing at the time. It's completely residual.
Well, in this particular case, one I'm about to play here, in the room here with when I was doing the weekly sessions, and I still do the sessions, not as often as I did, but I also took pictures. I would take pictures, and I gave it the name reflective photography because I was taking pictures with the lights off using a digital camera, and the flash things would show up in the picture. And in this case, I would have recorders going at the same time. So in this particular case, after I had just taken a picture, I found, realized when I played it back, I got this. So there's that accent again. And we're hearing, took a picture. So that would be an interactive EVP where somebody's watching what I'm doing and commenting on.
Right.
It has an accent again.
Again, that accent again, yeah.
It would be really cool to kind of hear EVPs and look at like film at the same time, undeveloped film or film of pictures, and see if any spirits show up on camera along with the EVPs. That would be really kind of nice to see.
Yeah, and they did, but I don't know if synced up at the same exact time. But during the same session, I'd be getting EVPs and pictures, but images. But I never could tell if they were really related. Let me play this one right here. This is Karen's, and she'll tell you all about it.
You can amp that up.
Yeah, I'm going to amp that one up a little bit here.
This was actually, I'll explain a little bit, at a haunted location, but this is a really good example of a negative EVP.
Yeah, let's play it again for I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is, why don't you die? I don't know who it was. I was just recording. I wasn't antagonizing anybody. I was just minding my own business. But apparently, the spirit, and I don't even know that he was referring to me. Something residual could have happened there. From what I understand, it was in a house in Maine. There had been a couple that were together and they hated each other. That's what the owners were telling us. They never got along, and there was constant domestic problems in that house. And he could have been, the two spirits could have still been residing there together and fighting
Still,
with each other.
still they're arguing with each other.
Yeah, I don't know that he was referring to me, but it's an example of a negative EVP.
Oh yeah.
And that's a, let me play it again. Yeah, and so there's a great example of somebody brand new, and a possibility of someone brand new, and that's their first EVP. You've got to be grounded to say, I really want to do EVP, and I know that there can be some negative ones out there, because if you're not, that could really freak somebody out,
Yeah, and also to know the background history of the place you're investigating to understand why that negativity could have existed in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to play one here that this is a phrase that we hear a lot, and we hear it in different ways, but it's the same words basically. So let me play this. If you hear that, what we're hearing here is what's happening, and we get what happened, and what usually does happen is we've just turned the recorder on. It's almost like there's some sort of a bounce into their area, into the other side, and somebody will say, "What's happening?" or "What happened?"
Right. The minute we turn on our recorders, there's some type of disruption in their existence and our existence, and we hear this so often. What's happening now? What happened? What just happened? And it's a common phrase that you'll hear in EVP. They're sensing something.
Right. And we wanted to use this because if you listen to Karen's Dad and I Love You, or you listen to Here Comes Rocky, those are class A's. Those are clear. And this one isn't as clear. We kind of have to, you may not have heard that until we mentioned it.
Right, it's a whisper.
More of a class B, but it's not super clear either. So we wanted to add it that way. We can show that they're not always going to be perfectly clear EVPs. Let's see.
Now I know you said you had one that was attached to a video as well. You want to play that one?
Yeah, but just before I do, I wanted to play one that we got in. Actually, this is me, and this was in Arizona in Tombstone at the Big Nose Cave. In fact, it's not the Big Nose Cave. I got to think about it for a moment. It was a very haunted location, and but let me play it and maybe I'll remember it. Sounds terrible, but this is a segment, and the reason we wanted to play the segment is because you can see where somebody's talking, somebody's asking to speak with spirits, the spirit comes through very clearly, and then I'll just play that and take it down.
The spirits.
So there's somebody speaking, and starting to talk like, you know, because it was like 5 of us, and we all had our recorders out. And mine happened to pick up him, and basically, I'm Caleb. This is where we picked that up right here.
The spirits.
So he's saying his name. Break it down again here. So that's how they occur sometimes, right? Right in the middle of a conversation where you're just kind of talking away. This guy comes through and says, "I'm Caleb," and that was basically in Tombstone. And I feel terrible that I can't remember the name of the place because it's very haunted. Do you remember?
Yeah, it was in Tombstone, Arizona, and the interesting part of it is that in the history of it's a birdcage theater.
Thank you.
And in the history, one of the what do you call them, cowboys or Western people that was there, his name was Caleb. He was one of the gunfighters or whatever that was killed. And
yeah, that was the interesting thing was on top of that, there was a local paranormal investigator who had joined us. We were doing a presentation at that in the area there, and he joined us there, and he said, "Ask for Caleb." He said, "That's
one of the
somebody that appears here."
Yeah, that's one of the spirits.
And
Yep.
this guy comes through and says, "I'm Caleb."
Right. So that's pretty interesting. That's why it's really important. And when you go on a paranormal investigation, know a little bit about the history of the place that you're going into. They'll help you, validate the messages that come through.
Except if you're a medium, it's better to know nothing. That way you can prove that what you're getting is valid. Let everybody else know the history, but tell the medium nothing. That's important.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
Right.
And before we play that last one that you mentioned, Amy, this is another one from Karen with another characteristic, sing-songy voice. Karen,
Oh, yeah,
yeah. We'll just let you hear this. Because sometimes they'll come through in a sing-songy voice.
Yeah, they sing their messages through. It's very, very interesting. They come through in all different ways. I remember one time I was recording and a plane flew over, and they took the noise from that plane and they formed an EVP message with it. They can do all sorts of incredible things.
You want to tell them what this says?
Yeah, it says, "Who's with Allie?" And then the voice comes through. It's a woman, and she goes, "He's got company."
Wow.
I know, it gives me goosebumps.
Right there.
So,
Yeah.
I'll play the one that we want to match the video with after. Okay, this is the EVP itself, and this is recorded at a restaurant. And April Sharon was with us, and it's our backup. I believe I was using my control recorder also, but I was also videotaping. So in this case, we had a video going, and I'm going to pick this up right here, not the entire piece, because the video we took out there in the part. We just did the piece itself.
She's not elderly. She's quite spry.
Okay, so I want you to hear that. April says she's not elderly, she's quite spry. And she's describing a woman that she's hearing,
Right.
that she's seeing, I mean. So I'm going to play the rest of it.
She's not elderly. She's quite spry.
Hello?
She's not young.
It's so clear. When we heard it played back, that's Karen's recording. When we heard it played back, we said that can't be an EVP. It can't be. Somebody had said hello, and we never heard it. But how the heck could it be in there? It's too clear. I mean,
Right.
listen to the hello. Again, just the hello.
Hello?
Well, it is an EVP because when we played back the video, it wasn't on anybody's recorder for one thing, but there's the video of April and Carolyn in that segment, and there's no hello on there.
Well, it was on my recorder. The hello was on,
No, I know. Yeah, it's on your recorder.
but it's not on the video.
On the video, that's what I was saying.
Exactly. So April was sensing this female presence there. And first of all, none of us would have said a random hello. All right. But this woman who she was sensing came through and said hello.
Right, that's what
Yep.
I was trying to say.
Yeah.
So between the two of us, we've said it. Amy, if you're ready, we can try to bring that video up.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Well, while he's working on that, I just have to say I didn't really know anything about EVP. I knew about EVP. I was aware of it, but it's really clear how much experience you guys have. And I'm so grateful what you shared today, because I feel like I attended this mini workshop and now I have all of this knowledge. I'm so glad you guys were here today.
Oh,
Well,
thank
thank you.
you.
Thank you very much.
That's why I keep saying more workshops. Teach, because it's wonderful information. You know, doing it is one
Great
thing.
tips.
Great information.
And one thing that I really love about you two, Mike and Karen in particular, is just how well spoken you are, even about like, again, like that being grounded before going into a space and stepping into this work. I know we've talked about it on the show too, but really knowing yourself and knowing your boundaries and like, you know, just being mindful about what you come across is really important.
For sure. We know negativity exists here. We know negativity exists there. You know, I've never been physically harmed by anything that I'm communicating with, but I know that, you know, it can happen. My philosophy is that we have a lot more to do from the living than we do the dead, but at the same time, you need to take precautions.
All right, so here's the video. Amy, are you seeing that okay?
We're seeing it fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
I'm going to bring it up over here. There we go.
I have a lady apron on. Just walked into the room and I was speaking to him. She's not elderly. She's quite spry. But she's not young.
And there's no hello.
No, it was quite. There was silence mostly.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is, that's April, and she's saying what she said on the recorder. That's me. I almost thought at one point I saw an orb in there too.
Yeah, there was some odd
Yep.
around. Yep.
While she's saying that, I saw an orb like somewhere over there, and there's absolutely no hello in the video.
Yeah, and that's what makes that video so clear.
Yeah,
I mean the video, the EVP. I mean,
right.
we really thought, you know, that can't be an EVP. It's too
Right.
clear.
Everything corroborates.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, so we wanted to show you that. Stop sharing now.
Awesome. I mean, that's just so amazing to see and hear all of those voices coming through and how clear they are. And I don't think a lot of people expect them to be as clear. And of course, you guys have a trained ear to be able to hear it all these years and to listen to go, oh, I know what that is. But I know a lot of people that are just getting into it, they'll be like, I hear something, but I don't quite understand what it is. So it takes experience to do that.
Yeah, I wanted to play a couple of those that weren't as clear, but they're there. The fact that you're playing a recorder, you're playing back after doing a recording, there should be absolutely nothing, and there's voices on there. Even if you can't, you know, that's how it starts. I mean, you might get a great EVP your first time, like Karen did, but other times it may take a while. But the fact that something's on there, you know, that shouldn't be. That's
Right.
it's amazing.
It is.
It's
That's the
up to-
spirit world for you, how amazing they are and what they can do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we've learned quite a bit today, but I'm sure people are going to want to learn more from you, or maybe even listen to more EVPs. You said you're the website. Can you explain a little bit more about the website and how they can reach you?
Well, I guess I could bring the website up if you like, and show them and you folks where everything is. Want to do that?
Sure. We love visuals.
Well, yeah. Let's see. Let's see if I can get that up and then present with it.
Yeah.
You know what I really like is how grounded the two of them are.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell that they're compassionate. You can tell that they're not out there just to create sensationalism and be really dramatic and scary. And they have the compassion towards those who've transitioned on, and they
Mhm.
care very much. You know, when
Mhm.
Mike was saying about, I just want to help, for example, you know, how can I help? I feel limited, you know, in being able to do that. And they take it seriously, and they try to show respect to the things that are trying to communicate with them. They try to help them by giving them tools to be able to communicate. And they have a sincere interest in that they're there, what their story is, how they're choosing to communicate with them. So it's really, really great. So I've really enjoyed listening to them today.
Mhm.
We see
can't hear ya.
Yeah. See, and this is what happens when you talk about ghosts. You just have technical difficulties.
Ain't that the truth?
That's very, yes.
Yeah.
Until you guys get your sound, I can let everybody know that they can reach them at ectoweb.com. It is Karen Mossey, who I've worked with in the past. She's actually done quite a few investigations with me in the past, one that was quite significant in my development as well. You know, and then you have Mike Sullivan, who has trained or been her mentor and is extremely experienced. And I am pretty sure in the future will be amazing at doing more presentations and more trainings in the future, because we really need to see people pick this up and do more with it. Because before, I think we were doing it to understand our capability of what we can do and what information we can receive. I think we're ready for the next evolution of EVP, where we now can start gaining necessary information from the spirit world that can lead us into a deeper understanding of the different levels of spirit, the different forms of consciousness, how they can move around, how they can communicate with us, and where we can gain huge amounts of detail from the spirit world. And that's where it all leads to all of you watching the show and what you can do with EVP going forward. And I certainly suggest going to their website to learn and just get some information, just to say, this is what I really want to do. I'm really experienced. And just reach out to Karen and Mike and just say, I loved, watching the podcast. I'm really interested. Teach me more, tell me more, show me more, whatever it is that you feel drawn to say. But you can absolutely reach out to them. And you can even reach out to me, and I can connect you to them as well. I have connections. And Karen, you were talking about that haunted cemetery in New Hampshire. And I'm like, let's go. The two of us or three of us. Let's go. You know, I live close by, so let's go help some spirits cross over. I'm completely fine with that as well. Did you guys get your sound working again? No, you didn't. It's okay. You know what? It all worked out, because when we needed to hear you, we did. Everything was wonderful. It's the technology, and it's the ghosts. They were in your sound system the whole time. It's all good. It's great. So we just want to say thank you to all of you for watching. And again, Cynthia, how can people reach out to us to connect if they have any questions for us?
We have an email, spiritrescuetalk@gmail.com. We love to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts on the show, things that you're interested in. Like Amy said, spooky season is just around the corner. And I think we were talking about that before we came on the show, but we're always talking about spooky season. So what are you guys interested in? What do you want to know about? We'd love to hear from you.
And as Jordan always says, the darker, the better.
We'll empower folks if should they come across something dark.
There you go. You know where to go. And again, thank you to Mike and Karen for being our guests today. And we can feel your love, even though we can't hear your voice. But it's still, we love you guys dearly. And thank you to all of you. We can't wait to see you guys next time.